It's not going to get better. So what I mean by this, if you know where you are right now in life and you know where you want to be, but you're not going to make any change, so you're going to continue on the same day-to-day routine, same day-to-day patterns, people kind of have this assumption that it's going to stay the same. It's actually not going to stay the same. It's actually going to get worse. And the reason it's going to get worse is you're aging, so your skill sets are becoming more obsolete. I guess, yes, you've got some more wisdom potentially, but your body's aging, so you might not be able to do things as fast as you used to do. Technology's creeping in and kind of taking away certain aspects of your job, um, and things are innovating, changing, shifting, right? So what happens is you start to each day you don't, I guess, do the personal development, the growth to grow in yourself. You become more and more obsolete. So it actually gets harder because now there's more people competing for the same job. There's the longer you leave the time to do the things that you know in your heart that you're gonna have to do at some point anyway, then you're still going to have to do it, right? So, say for example, today is day one, and you leave it for 6 months. So, in day, what's half, 180 days roughly, right? In 180 days, you haven't done anything, you haven't changed, you've still been doing your normal job, normal routine, everything's the same. And then you decide that you want to make the change. In 6 months' time, it's going to be harder than it is today because the world shifts, the world changes. We're going to be deep into a recession. We're going to be doing a lot of, as I said, a lot of things are going to shift and change. There's going to be a lot more emotional circumstances, a lot more different challenges in your life. So if you truly want to make change, you just got to get out of this idea that it's going to stay the same. Because every day that you don't make change for the direction of your dream, it's going to get harder. And it's going to be more brutal. And I've learned this from personal experience. My body told me, I ignored it. I started to become depressed. I started to not be in much joy. I started to become a little bit angry, snappy, all these type of things. I ignored this for a long time, right? Then my body then gave me pneumonia and glandular fever. I still ignored it. I kind of half-assed started getting some check coaching, which is what I am now, but still drinking and maybe not drinking as much as everyone else, but and I still stayed in that job, and I didn't make the transition for probably another, what was it, at least 5 years, maybe longer. And then it got to the point where it was like started screaming at me. Like I'd go in and I couldn't even make money, even though I was a great salesman. I just would have days where I'd make $0. I think there was one time it was 3 days in a row, and I was there for 8 hours and I made $0 because I used to do commission work, right? And that was unheard of for me. But it's because of my soul knew that I wasn't supposed to be there. So the universe delivered the experiences to get me the fuck out of there. All right. So it just made it harder and harder and harder. And I felt more isolated and more depressed. And until I made the brave and courageous decision to move towards my path. And then what happens is our path changes, expands, evolves. So as soon as we get stuck on one path, the universe comes and slaps you in the face and then goes, no, that was only part of your path. You're dreaming too small. You're playing, you're hiding, you're not being the best version of yourself, right? So as I said, the longer you leave this, the harder it's going to be. That's just my words of wisdom for you from someone that's spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on making dumbass mistakes, like dumb mistakes, by doing things that just not listening to myself and not actually knowing what was right for me, and not acknowledging my self-worth and my wisdom and my power and my passion and all those type of things. So again, I'm going to leave this one up to you. If you want to coach, I could be a man, whether that be VIP one-on-one or through the VIP group courses. Um, but I'd highly recommend making some change. And the thing is, the reason why coaches or courses or things like that are the right fit for you at the specific time. And I'm not talking about courses to get more qualified. Okay, if you have a dream of being something, so for example, me, I have a dream of being a Czech practitioner. So yes, I needed to do those qualifications to be the practitioner. And I started off just wanting to be a level 1, then I wanted to be a level 2, then I wanted to be a level 3. But that's taken me kind of 10 years to finish that process. So there might be certain skill sets that you need because you might not have, you might want to teach Reiki and you haven't done your Reiki course, right? So, okay, yes, that would be a step 1. But then implementing that into the world so that it's not just a course or a skill set that's hidden within you that it's like you only do on the side or to friends or family, like that's fucked up. Okay, it's fucked up because you've got something magic and you're not sharing it, and it's only going to get harder and harder and harder the more you ignore it. And one of my friends and mentors, Samantha, she talks about the feather, the brick, and the bus. Okay, so the feather is when the universe kind of gives you a, it's like a little tickle. Oh, this is interesting. What's this? I'm going to go on this path. And then the brick is, fuck, that really fucking hurt. I think bloody jaw's broken. And then you ignore that, bus. Boom. Fucking wiped out. So that's a lot of people are heading towards the bus because they've had the feather, they've had the brick, and now it's a double decker bus with a fucking trailer of bricks towed behind it. That's what's coming for a lot of people, and it could be you, and whether it's you or not. So deep in here whether it's you or not, and whether that you're ignoring that. And the thing is, it's going to take risk and investment to make change, right? So it's scary. You might be like, fuck, I've got to really go all in. Like, I've got to put my money where my mouth is. And that's scary because what if you don't succeed? The question I ask, what if you do? What if you have everything you ever desired in life? It's that flight of, what if you create everything you've ever desired in your heart? And the thing is, if you can dream it, like if you got this dream, this vision, guess what? It's actually one of the realities that's sitting there waiting for you. You just haven't owned it. And, a lot of people will do it the hard way. Oh, I'll just do it on my own, the lone wolf scenario. But if you look at everyone that's successful in life, they all have coaches. They'll have coaches and mentors, and they have accountability and a team around them that's pushing them forward and holding them to their word. And of course, I or someone that you resonate with could be that person. And only you know this. So I will leave it with you. But in closing, where you are now and where you want to be, if you ignore and let it hold or wait till the time's right, 6 months, 12 months, it's going to be a lot fucking harder. A lot harder. It's going to be more money, harder. It's going to be brutal as fuck because you would have already been hit by a bus. So you've been hit by the bus and now you're trying to fucking climb up Mount Everest. It's going to be pretty hard, right? You've just been hit by a bus. So you're in rehab and going through like all the emotional processes and the healing and the trauma, and it's a hard way to do it. And it's the way I did it, and I hope that nobody ever has to go through that because it's dark, it's brutal, it's extremely challenging, and I'm just glad that I had the courage to actually invest in a coach after waiting 8 years, after waiting eight or so, maybe even 10 years of living in misery. And it's the misery creeps up. That's the thing, is like you kind of know there's an uncomfortable feeling in you, and you might not be at this stage. This video might not be for you, but for those of you who are, you fucking know. You know so deep in your heart that it's time to change, and it's time to commit, and it's time to get bloody serious about this. Because if you don't do it now, when? The answer's never. Peace. Love you all.